After 11 rounds, 1,700 miles and some of the most challenging roads in the world, the Intercontinental Rally Challenge has proved once again to be the most thrilling and engaging rally series on the calendar. Competing in only their second year, the ŠKODA UK motorsport team provided the series with thrills, spills and excitement and introduced the world to the astonishing talents of Andreas Mikkelsen. From the icy mountain roads of Monte Carlo to the baking heat of Cyprus, the ŠKODA UK motorsport team battled the elements and fierce competition in what would prove to be one of the closest title races in rallying history. ŠKODA UK Motorsport's 2011 seasons provided fans and followers with an amazing ride, from dizzying highs to dark lows. Andreas Mikkelsen, co-driver Ola Flörner and the championship-winning Fabia Super 2000 have provided the rally world with remarkable entertainment. This is the story of their season.
The 2011 season started in January with the Monte Carlo rally. With an entry swelled by star names celebrating the event's 100th running, ŠKODA UK Motorsport couldn't have wished for a tougher opener. With conditions on the stages changing by the minute, Andreas proved that, in rallying, the line between success and disaster is often a thin one. Just over a mile into the opening stage, his Fabia Super 2000 ran wide and clipped a low wall. The resulting suspension damage appeared minor at first, but with the longest stage of the event set to follow, Andreas was forced to retire from his first Monte Carlo rally.
We won't get any points from this event, but still we have many rallies to go. It's the best 7 rallies that count, so we still have a good possibility for the championship still.
Andreas and the team faced an 11-week wait for round 2 of the IRC, the Rally Canarias. After the disaster of Monte Carlo, Andreas was under pressure to get to the finish and bring home much-needed points for the championship. Yet despite this, and the added challenge of tackling 2 of the event's longest stages at night, Andreas proved his mettle, bringing his Fabia S2000 home in solid 6th position, ahead of drivers with more experience of the challenging Spanish event. Another 6th place finish followed on the Tour de Corse a month later, with Andreas finally showing the flashes of brilliance that make him one of rallying's hottest properties. Having got to grips with the twisting roads of the French island, Andreas worked his way up to 3rd place on the final day. However, just as his first podium beckoned, fate intervened in the form of a puncture just 3 stages from the finish. With nearly 4 minutes lost as the crew battled to change the wheel, the team were left wondering what might have been. Although the result was a frustrating one, Andreas' bravery and skill throughout the event suggested that the best was yet to come. As summer bloomed in Europe, the IRC paid its first ever visit to the Ukraine for the Prima Yalta rally. Running in the foothills of the Ipetri Mountains, it was to prove another strong performance for Andreas and the team. Having wowed the locals with his remarkable pace in the pre-event shakedown, Andreas fought back from an early puncture and sudden brake failure to find himself in a 5-way battle for the lead at the end of the first day. A series of stage wins followed, with many more experienced hands succumbing to the treacherously slippy mountain roads. However, in a plot twist that only the IRC could provide, Andreas slid off the road just 2 stages from home. Although the spin dented both the car and Andreas' chances of an elusive podium finish, 4th overall and the award of the Colin McRae Flat-Out Trophy for his efforts crowned another encouraging weekend. With confidence high, Andreas, Ola and the rest of the ŠKODA UK Motorsport team arrived in Belgium for the Ypres Rally, one of Europe's most famous and well-supported events. Not only had recent form suggested that a podium was due, Andreas' string of fastest times in the Ukraine prompted many to wonder if Belgium could even provide the young Norwegian with his first win of the campaign. The event started in dramatic fashion, with ŠKODA factory driver Jan Kopecki crashing heavily in the pre-event shakedown, and title contender Thierry Neuville forced to retire after damaging his car on the first stage. Disappointingly, Andreas was to make it a trio of early retirements when the rally's treacherous roads claimed yet another unwitting victim. Andreas ran wide, exiting the corner, and tipped into one of the hundreds of roadside ditches that make the Belgian event such a challenge. Despite the best efforts of spectators and marshals who tried valiantly to extract the Fabia S2000 from its resting place, no amount of muscle could get the car back onto the road. Andreas' rally and any hopes of a significant points haul were over. The flowing gravel tracks of the Azores provided IRC contenders with a new challenge as the series reached the halfway point. The first loose surface event of the season provided Andreas with the perfect opportunity to put the disappointment of Belgium behind him. With only 5 rounds remaining, a good points finish was vital if he was to stay in touch with the championship leaders. It proved to be a challenge that Andreas was more than up to. Despite heavy rain, thick fog and a stage cancelled by a herd of cows, the 22-year-old Norwegian finished day 1 in second place, less than 2 seconds behind event leader Juho Hänninen. Day 2 saw Andreas push the reigning IRC champion hard, recording 5 fastest stage times and swapping the overall rally lead with his nearest rival at almost every time control. But in the end, experience was to triumph over youth. Although second was the team's best result of the year and brought a healthy points haul, Andreas' first IRC victory would have to wait for another day.
The wind's not that far away now, surely.
No, so I hope not. Maybe next time.
Round 7 of the IRC saw the team head to the Czech Republic for ŠKODA's home event, the Bærum Rally. With a fanatical crowd expecting nothing less than ŠKODA dominance, the pressure to add to Andreas' points tally was immense. After an early puncture dropped him down the leaderboard to 6th after day 1, he fought back on the final leg of the rally, recording 4 fastest stage times after overnight rain had drenched the area. Although 5th seemed scant reward for his wet weather heroics, it represented Andreas' best result on tarmac and meant more valuable points on the board as the season entered its final act. Hungary was the destination for round 8 of what was rapidly becoming a vintage IRC season. Fast, challenging and relatively unknown to most of the IRC regulars, the Eastern European stages were perfectly suited to Andreas' flat-out driving style. Quickest on all but one of the opening day's stages, his confidence, skill and raw speed on tarmac was becoming increasingly apparent. Despite every title contender pushing to the maximum, Andreas was able to extend his lead on day 2, comfortably stretching his lead to nearly 20 seconds with just 2 stages to run. But, just as victory seemed a certainty, disaster struck. Running first on the road, Andreas hit a patch of loose gravel that sent this car into a slide. Unable to recover, he slid into trees and into retirement. With only 3 rallies left on the calendar, Andreas knew that only podiums and wins could save his season. A tall order, even for the fastest driver in the championship. The picturesque Italian Riviera provided the backdrop for round 9 of the IRC. With its switchback mountain roads, sheer drops and car-wrecking walls, the San Remo rally is a challenge for any driver, let alone one trying to hang on to slim title hopes. With nothing less than a podium finish needed to keep him in the championship hunt, Andreas attacked the San Remo stages from the off, blasting into an early lead on stages he was far from familiar with. He maintained his position after a spectacular run through the 27-mile Ronde night stage, comfortably beating more seasoned hands in the process. With 1 stage remaining, Andreas found himself locked in a 2-way battle for the lead with tarmac expert Thierry Neuville. The pair were virtually inseparable as they threaded their cars through the Italian mountain roads towards the stage finish. When the clock stopped after 2 days and 140 miles of competition, it was a case of so near, yet so far for Andreas. 1.5 seconds, little more than the blink of an eye, were all that separated Andreas from his first IRC win. ŠKODA UK's home event provided Andreas with the opportunity to build on his outside chances of winning the IRC title. Not only was Rally Scotland on his favourite surface, it was also the scene of his spectacular second place finish 12 months earlier. But if the title was going to go down to the final round of the series in Cyprus, the maths were simple. Only a win would do. In treacherous conditions, Andreas raced into an early lead, delivering a masterclass in gravel driving. With his Fabia S2000 dancing between corners, Andreas thrilled spectators and his ranks of fans as he built a commanding lead after 2 days of competition. With rivals and experienced hands falling foul of the challenging conditions, Andreas showed maturity beyond his years to keep his challengers at bay on the final day. Having carved out a 20-second lead over his nearest rival, he completed a magnificent weekend by becoming the youngest ever winner of an IRC event. Andreas' shot at the title was still on, and the final round in Cyprus couldn't come soon enough.
You know, we have been so close now so many times, and we just missed these small things, but okay, now we're here and it's so nice.
With 5 drivers capable of winning the IRC title, the Rally of Cyprus hosted what would prove to be the most nerve-wracking finale in IRC history. Undeterred by his outsider status, Andreas started the rally in typically flamboyant fashion, blowing the competition away on the opening super special around the streets of Paphos. Day 2 started in dramatic fashion, with title favourite Juho Hänninen rolling into retirement less than a mile into the first stage. Andreas' title odds shortened further when rival Thierry Neuville succumbed to the treacherous Cypriot stages and was forced to retire. While his rivals were falling by the wayside, Andreas continued in the only way he knew how, flat out everywhere. Despite spinning on stage 3 and suffering an in-car sandstorm when his Fabia's tailgate popped open mid-stage, he ended the penultimate day of the rally at the top of the field. The final day marked the final chapter in what had become one of the biggest comebacks in rallying history. Despite the constant pressure from those behind him, Andreas held his nerve and steered his Fabia S2000 to a spectacular victory. The scenes of jubilation that followed were matched only by the outpouring of emotion shown by Andreas and Ola.
I could never believe that this would happen coming into this. Of course, it was a big dream, and it's true. I am champion this year, and it's not only me, it's the whole team. What a year. It started off in Monte Carlo, not so good, and we ended up here as the winners. And what a good feeling.
The whole team had pulled off the impossible, snatching the IRC title by a mere 1.5 points and making rallying history in the process. Not only was Andreas' victory the narrowest in IRC history, it also made him the youngest ever champion. And the celebrations weren't limited to those on the podium in Cyprus. The win also brings huge excitement for Škoda UK. Victory in the IRC has generated enormous excitement in the brand and proved that Škoda's reputation and image are stronger than ever.
Andreas Mikkelsen, Ola Flörner and the Fabia S2000 proved to be an unbeatable combination in only their first season together. Backed by a dedicated and skillful team of engineers, mechanics and strategists, the Škoda UK motorsport team endured a rollercoaster ride of emotions in what was an unforgettable season. Not only was the IRC treated to a thrilling title finale, it also witnessed the arrival of a new star, who would count against a repeat performance in 2012.